This is Dr. Kim, licensed clinical psychologist and host of Love to Heal. Today we have an incredible and very special guest. Her name is Kirsten Sandefur. She's a life coach and esoteric healer. Thank you so much for being on today.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kim, for having me. I really appreciate it.
We were talking a little bit before about how you've been working in treatment centers, and I love people actually merging in the clinical world and the spiritual world. It's just all it does is add value to clients and to people, to followers. So I'm just so excited to have you on today.
Thank you. I absolutely agree. I couldn't agree more. I mean, I think the merging of, with physicians and treatment, centers and things like that needed to happen. It really is a full body healing process especially when you're dealing with addiction. But with any issue, it really is. It's mind, body, and spirit. And I think there's more data to support that now. So that's helpful.
So cool. So what exactly is an esoteric healer?
Sure. It's everything from metaphysics combined, basically the mind, body, and soul, and basically melding that with the human condition. And it's really using your subconscious cues to heal yourself, to manifest what you want in your life, to figure out what people aren't saying, to figure out the things in your life, why you may not be getting the results that you want, whether, it has to deal with a past life or whether it has to deal with something that you can't work through in this life. Mm-hmm. It's all about lessons. And I think we're all put here to work through the junk that we couldn't work through in either our past life or, before our ancestors couldn't work through, to be better human beings. So, that's truly what I believe, and I help my clients on that level be better people and to grow spiritually and to be healthier as well.
That's amazing. And no matter what form that comes in as far as spirituality goes, positive psychology really backs up that, because that's an added bonus. That's an actual protective factor, whether your spirituality is yoga or your spirituality is a certain religion, whatever it is. We do know from research that you actually have an edge with contentment when you practice something or believe in something that could be higher than yourself, or something that's just maybe even a ritual that gets you in a very positive place when you're thinking about things that are bigger than you, just in general. So whatever it is, this research does back that up. And I actually think that's why one of the reasons it's a big reason why people that are in addiction or in recovery or going through a breakup or going through grief and loss, they really need these kind of guides like yourself. So I'm excited because you're going to teach us a technique later on. So you guys have to stay tuned because I cannot wait for that. But before we get there, let's talk a little bit about quantum mechanics, quantum physics. My favorite part about it is that, it's about atoms, it's about energy. The waveform is really the beliefs and thoughts that you can't see. And the particle form is the stuff that you can see. So that waveform, you're the expert at that waveform and doing things with that to actually make your life more enhanced. So what are your principles behind that, and how do you use it in your work?
Sure. Well, we have all heard of the double slit experiment. So when you introduce a third person observer, it changes the quantum field quite considerably. And a wave no longer is a wave, it becomes a particle or what have you when you introduce a third person. So what that essentially means to me is introducing another person into your life is quantum entanglement. And you're always introducing different people in your life, which we're all one with the universe. And I think that there's always some form of quantum healing, quantum entanglement going on with every person. And I think that's just something that we're catching up with now, modern sciences and academia is catching up with. So, we've been able to show that that we can heal ourselves through quantum physics. We've been able to show remote viewing works through quantum physics. There's the government has been using it since the 70s. So if it wasn't really real, why are we doing it and still doing it today? Mm-hmm. So I think this is something that largely has been ignored because it's scary, because it makes us feel like we're not in charge. But in actuality, we are in complete charge
Mm-hmm.
of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And we determine what happens in our lives, which takes away the victimization.
Yeah.
And you're no longer a victim when you things don't happen to you. You are happening with them, and you're growing and learning from them. And I teach my clients really to learn that everything in their lives happened to make them the person that they are right now. And that's so powerful, because I went through a divorce recently, and I thought that was the darkest time of my life. But I am so happy that I went through that. I tell my ex all the time, like, I'm so grateful you did that, honestly, like, and, you know, because I've grown as a mother, I never thought I could be a single mom by myself and, you know, running my own company and being happy. I'm great, you know, and I love my life. I love my daughter. And, you know, it's really made me a stronger and a better mom too. So
that's incredible. So you've done a great job of describing that on a macro level. On a micro level, like on day to day, what are you telling your clients, or what are you doing yourself to actually utilize these things that we can't see, these thoughts?
Meditation.
Meditation. Tell me more about that.
Meditation is essential. I wake up every morning and do at least a minimum of 45 minutes. Meditation. And Dr. Wayne Dyer has an amazing I am meditation that for people who can't get out of the monkey mind, which is a constant chatter. The monkey mind causes us stress, and it causes us to constantly worry about what's going to happen next, which in effect is quantum, it is bringing those things into your life. It's collapsing the quantum field. So you're bringing those things into your life just by even thinking them. And meditation will teach you to shut that off and to just be, and to be in the stillness of self. And that's the one thing that I preach to my clients. And they know this. I hound them to, I'm like, and I can tell when they haven't meditated. I'm like, you haven't meditated today.
Wow.
Yeah, and I call them on it every time. So
that's good.
Because it's such a game changer. We all know it decreases, you know, cortisol rates lower, blood pressure lowers, our systems regulate. It really is a game changer. And if people can just incorporate that small component into their lives, so we can all find 45 minutes, even 30 minutes, 10 minutes, like, I don't care, just start somewhere and start doing it today, not tomorrow, today. And you will see that the growth that happens is tremendous. This isn't something that I can say, oh, you might experience it. I can promise you, if you meditate every day, give yourself, even if you start with 10 minutes, you will see in 2 weeks, you will see significant change.
Yeah, it's so critical. It really is critical. Are you usually implementing intentions in that, or is it, I mean, at your level, it'd be very varied, I would imagine, but are there intentions they should do, or is there anything that they should be focused on, even if they're trying to, go ahead.
Well, first, for those who haven't meditated, and I vary this approach by people who are novices at it and people who are more experienced. Never start with guided meditations. First, that's why I like Dr. Wayne Dyer stuff. The chanting turns off the monkey mind and gets you used to just being and sitting and going through something. Then once you're chanting, the mind turns off a little bit and you're able to relax. Nice. Then after you've done that for a little bit, I'd say for 4 or 5 days, then you can go into a guided meditation situation where, whether it be to meet your spirit guides, to whatever, and then kind of step it up from there and go into deeper and deeper levels of trance meditation and things like that. There are amazing things we can accomplish through meditation alone. And also it offers so much insight into the things that might be happening into your life that you're not noticing intuitively on a daily basis. I get so many downloads and things coming into my mind when I go into meditation. I love to meditate. I mean, it's my favorite time of day. It's my time for me.
Yeah. And what is a download for people that don't know? Is that like an epiphany, or what's happening there? What kind of things are you gaining from this space?
So I'm pulling information from the quantum field, basically, and a download is when it just automatically dumps kind of into, if you look at the body as like, and the mind as a computer system, I guess, it just downloads information kind of without me even asking it to when I go into meditation, like, this is what you need to know. And it's interesting. Sometimes it's about things going on with humanity. I'm specifically working on doing different kinds of grid work and getting the earth kind of where it's supposed to be energetically. I'm helping lots of people do this across the country and across the world, actually. But I'm just one of many. But I'll get downloads to that effect about different things going on around me energetically, things I need to maybe fix or things I need to assist with. Sometimes it's about my life, sometimes it's about my daughter, sometimes it's about prophecy. Like I talked about this on my YouTube channel 2 weeks before the fires hit in Irvine. I had a dream about it, and I had a download come in through meditation.
Amazing.
Yeah,
That's massive. And people really have to understand, like, as far as clinical work goes, like almost every single diagnosis you can think of in the DSM-5, the psych manual, is actually something that is aligned with mindfulness. So they'll do like mindfulness, cognitive behavioral therapy. They'll add mindfulness to dialectical behavioral therapy. I mean, that's how powerful it is that they're teaching us to heal people with mindfulness. So even if you feel
that's
like this,
amazing.
yes,
That makes me so happy to hear that,
yeah.
because I really feel like that transition alone and us working together is how we're going to heal and grow and advance as a civilization. I think that's kind of been the thing that's been a thorn in our sides, is like that we can't, that the two fields can't come together and that they can't come to an agreement. Look, none of us knows exactly how it all works, but we do have experts in the field, such as myself and many, many other people before me, who know and who have tested, because I come from a psychology background as well. I studied at TCU.
Nice.
I am a scientist at heart, so I'm not going to do things without double and triple checking them.
Nice.
So I don't like to just, I'm not very woo-woo on those regards.
No, you're not.
I'm like, hard science, I need that. And so when I have that for myself, it's easier for me to explain it to my clients. It took me a long time to get to the place I am now. I'm 44 years old. So it took me a long time to get here, simply because I was very stubborn with it. But
yeah, and I think, people are at different places in their lives, but I think the thing is like, I see all fields as like different languages, and obviously we have different techniques in every field, but I see it all as aligned. And even if we're talking about like Eastern medicine with Western, I mean, you can find ways to use things in
and commonality.
commonalities. Exactly. Like certain things, obviously there's certain things that are totally out of scope for certain realms, but it's really just a different language or a different technique. Like for psychology, for instance, like what you do, like your thoughts and your beliefs are affected, your feelings are then affected, especially if you're in that mindful state. And all that is what psychology teaches, as you know, like the thoughts affect the behaviors and the feelings. And if you get that feeling, this is where I really like what you do, because when you start harnessing that feeling, it does what?
Well, when you start to harness that feeling, you manifest and you bring things into your life. And you what I call the vortex, you get in the vortex, and it's like you've been in that state. We all know, like, when like it seems like nothing can go wrong, like you're just like, what is going on? Everything is just and it feels so easy once you get into it. And then the moment you have this negative thought, it's like zaps you right, pulls you right on out of it, and you're like, wait, no, come back. But it is that easy. It is really that easy. It's meditation, centering yourself, grounding yourself, making sure you are present in the here and the now. Because most of us, our thoughts are with what we're going to do tomorrow, or what we did 2 weeks ago, or what, this boyfriend said a couple days ago. And we're not really working in the here and the now. And when you start to move your timelines from the past and present into right now, kind of sweep them into the middle, you really start to notice the small things. And those small things often have a bigger impact once you start noticing them. And then that's when your intuition kicks in.
Love that. Even for yourself as a master in this field, and I know you're a constant learner, but still you're at the master level,
Mhm,
right? So
mhm,
even for yourself, like let's say you're having doubts.
mhm.
What are the first couple of things that you do with those doubts to start shifting them?
Sure, I write them down and then I break down what the components are about. Are there any archetypes in this doubt? Like, why am I doubting myself? I pull those things out and then I meditate on them. And oftentimes I'll get the insight right then and there. But if for people who aren't as familiar with meditating, just writing and journaling and trying to look at the whole component of doubt, like, what is this something that I learned? Is this a learned doubt? Do I really feel this way about myself? Because oftentimes we don't. Somebody else has told us this.
Mm.
And when you put it down on paper and you really analyze it, that's when you can go, oh, and you have this aha moment, like, wait, this isn't coming from me. This is somebody else, what they think. I don't believe this about myself at all. And that enables us to kind of reframe things and to look at it a bit differently, to step outside of ourselves. And once we can see the bigger picture and we can see what's actually rational coming from me, what do I feel about myself, then we can start to change and mold those beliefs and those feelings and those structures to make us the best human being that we can be and the happiest.
That's really beautiful. And as someone who's not a savant in this area, I have been thinking a lot about like frequencies and like I'll just use that like up cup. Like I want to be like around people that are on that frequency or a similar frequency or maybe a frequency
Mhm.
above mine to inspire me. What is that exactly? And like how would you use that? Or what's your
Sure.
verbiage for it?
Well, everybody resonates. We're all energy, right? So everybody resonates at a certain frequency. So you're right in how you use that. You want to be around people that are at a higher frequency than you because it raises your vibration. When your vibration is raised, you naturally attract positive things in your life. When your vibration is lowered, you naturally attract negative things in your life, negative people, like attracts like, right? So we can do a number of different things to raise our vibration. We can do Reiki healing. This is amazing for that, which is an energetic healer like myself. I do Reiki. I'm a Reiki master. Is using energy from source energy to raise your vibration or to heal or to do something, kind of whatever the patient is looking for. Um, and another way is meditation raises our vibration considerably. And then practicing what we preach, following through for some reason, this as well raises our vibration, which is basically being in alignment with yourself. What you say you're going to do, you have to do. Otherwise, it does create this
Good.
disconnect.
Yeah,
It
that's
creates a
really
disconnect. So there's a lot of different things you can do to raise your vibration. There's some, this drives me crazy. I've seen some people out there advertising to raise your vibration for X amount of dollars, and like
that's interesting.
that's
Wow.
absolutely not possible. No, it's a gradual process. Just like you can't, I suppose you could become a millionaire overnight, but it's chances are it's not likely,
Mhm,
but
mhm.
you grow over time. And same thing with your vibration. It's similar to akin to your personality or your spirit.
Mm.
And as your vibration gets higher, people will notice. It's something that when people come, it's my good friend Jessica, who lives out in Vegas. She came to visit and she was like, whoa. And she walked into my house and I was like, what? I just made these organite pyramids, which are basically resin, and they have organite in them, which Wilhelm Reich invented or this concept called organite, but it raises the vibration. And I
Nice.
had like 12 of them because I have clients wanting them in the house. And she was like, oh my gosh, the energy in here is so high. Like, what? It was crazy. So,
Yeah. That's a big thing. I think a lot of celebrities actually have that, a lot of successful people.
mhm,
Yeah. Well,
mhm,
because they know that
yeah.
they need to access healers. That's another advantage that successful people have is that they have access to people like yourself. So I've seen that. I see these things in
Yeah.
pockets, but what really needs to happen is that it's somehow accessible to everyone, or at least their minds are open to it so that they understand like what they can get out of it. So it's really exciting.
Well, unfortunately, and this is something I'm really working on, is regulation within this field, because there are a lot of people who claim to be experts or claim to, know X, Y, or Z, but there's no regulation with it. And that's always driven me crazy, because from somebody who's studied psychology and whatnot, there's very, very much regulation. You can't just be a therapist. And I believe the same needs to be, the same thing needs to be held to the same standard with whether it's healing or anything in the esoteric or, or that field of spiritual mindfulness realm, really needs to be held to the same sort of regulation.
That makes sense. Yeah, I think for me, like with you, it's like, to bring you on, it's more like you are very research based, you're articulate, you already had a foundation of psychology. That doesn't mean that like every healer needs to be articulate and well researched. But for me, like that's a way to feel like, there's some empirical stuff behind what she's saying, and what she's saying is coming from the heart, and it's very genuine, and it's not simply for monetary purposes. So like it's just so genuine, and that emits. But there are people in every industry that can, that can con people, but I think people are more discerning than we think they are. But I like the fact that you and I do so much research so that we can discern ourselves and make sure that we're at the highest capacity possible.
Exactly. I think there's so many things, especially right now in the world, like going on, where we don't trust what's being told to us, that it's important that research is done and validated and then disseminated to the public, so that they can make informed decisions. Because the fact is, a lot of my clients, until they've had an encounter with me, they didn't really know these things were out there. They didn't really know, oh my gosh, I can heal myself of this. That's crazy. And like, you can heal yourself of any illness out there.
The fact that you're saying you can heal yourself, and this is another reason why I respect what you do, is because like for me, when I do my work, I want them to have the most tools and as fast as possible really be independent.
Yeah.
You guys do this on a pretty quick level. I mean, like a very brief level sometimes. Obviously can also be very, I'm sure, expanded out, and that people can work with you for years, and that's extremely beneficial. But you do have techniques where it can be very simple and very extremely efficient, and even I would say with that in a few minutes, you guys can be extremely impactful.
Thank you. But I believe with everything, and I recommend this to my clients who I have on the 6-month model, which is like a longer process where they're learning and different things. We're adding different components of teaching and whatnot. But I always recommend they see a therapist as well, just to have an outside opinion and an outside person to bounce things off of, because what you're going through with me is a very intense change of beliefs, and it is a shift that you need to have somebody kind of ground you from that, to have a different perspective, to to kind of offer a little bit of I guess not bias, but just practicality to it, because it is so very advanced thought. Like, it's very hard to, it's really hard to wrap your mind around if you haven't been around it forever. So.
Yeah, I love that you say that. That's exactly what I promote. So I like and again, because of the world that I've been working in with people that have like the resources, I encourage them to go seek out a spiritual healer. And in Los Angeles, we're lucky. In LA, we have a lot of resources out there. But also obviously use discernment. But exactly, like I encourage them to do both at the same time. Maybe it's only because of my frame of reference and treatment centers, but I also grew up playing sports, so I feel like it takes a team. It's not like anything.
It takes a village. Yeah, I say that to my daughter all the time. Yeah,
you're the one coach. Like, and it's just different languages. And by the way, like a lot of times, we'll get clients. We will, as therapists, as you know, get clients on a one note. Maybe they're just on a one note. They want to vent every single time. Well, in order to get to maybe a higher frequency, or start opening your mind or expanding in different ways, or even tapping into certain emotions, that can be another person, another form, another expert that's actually inspiring that type of thought, that type of openness. And it sometimes takes that, especially, by the way, Kirsten, especially the ones that have been in therapy since childhood. Have you noticed that? Because it's like a one note. It's like they think this is what therapy is, and it's cookie cutter. And then at that point, as good as you are as a psychologist, it's nice to bring in other experts, because that can inspire that. And then you get more material So it's only benefiting you. So,
and then you guys work together to come up with a treatment plan that's going to best suit this client, and two minds are better than one. You know, it's worked amazing for me whenever I've had that collaboration at my disposal.
yeah.
I can tell you a really quick story that was kind of very sad that it didn't happen, but I had a client who had addiction issues and suffered 2 heart attacks and was in a coma. His mother called me and asked me to come up to the hospital, do Reiki healing. They thought he was brain dead. Turns out I did some red light therapy on him and Reiki and theta healing, and he started to come out of it. He started to wake up.
That's incredible.
Well, the physician on staff at the hospital, the head of the neuro department, was like, this is BS, like this is craziness. Like it was just very difficult because I was trying to work with the team, and the nurses were amazing. I mean, they were super helpful, but because we are as Reiki masters allowed to go into hospitals now and do treatment, even, you know, with the protocol. So it's basically they understand that what we're doing is real, but this doctor was just not up for it. And come to find out, there was actually something that I kept seeing in his gut, and he actually perforated his bowel and leaked and passed away a couple of days later. And he was coming around. So that was quite a sad story that I wish really had ended quite differently. So
yeah, well, it was your intent. Your intention was there, and I know people that are in comas actually could work really well with your type of work, because on that subconscious level they are still operating, and we know from research that they can experience sensations and hear words and things like that. And yeah, I imagine that would be incredible in ICUs.
yeah, I mean, this is work that I would love to do. Also, working in hospice with people who are about to pass. I practice this technique with some of my older clients. It's called conscious dying, and it's accepting that and understanding what the death process is like. And of course, nobody knows exactly, but we've had remote viewers actually remote view the process independently and come to an agreement. These are expert remote viewers that worked, you know, for the government. So Hal Puthoff and such. And then I've as well seen parts of this. And so just, you know, you can give a patient an idea of what's going to happen, but get them comfortable with it and practice so that they're not, when the moment happens and it comes, those who are terminally ill or whatnot, they're not afraid, and that doesn't yank them into the lower astral plane, which is where a lot of the trauma comes from the family. A lot of, when the family is suffering, it's because the person is clinging to this realm, and because they haven't understood that they've died, or they don't want to, or somebody, it's also coming from the other side. We don't want them to go, so we're pulling, you know, and if our energy is strong enough, we can actually keep them kind of in this in-between state for long, for quite some time. And there's been some studies done on this, that this conscious dying technique is actually very helpful with bereavement.
That's so beautiful. Well, to take a hard left, there are a lot of people that are going through breakups listening to us right now. And some people that just want to shift, like maybe even have more positive connections. And I can say this is applicable to almost everyone, because what I saw was a lot of agitation, irritability, misperceptions, a lot of assumptions that were made during the pandemic, where people weren't connecting one-on-one as much. And for that reason, I feel like there's a lot of improvement to be had as far as making connections more positive. And I feel like they should start within themselves before even having a conversation with them, because that's when it can get passive aggressive. On the other
when
level,
you're going through a breakup, you absolutely something has to change. It happened for a reason. Something has to change, whether it be you know, this person needs to change or this person needs to change. Some dynamic needs to shift in order for the relationship to flourish.
So you do have a technique to help people, but obviously there are some caveats to that, and there's some dangers to wanting to attract certain people back. What do you have to say as far as that before we go into the technique?
Sure. And I just want to say, because this technique is very powerful, it's something that I teach in my manifestation classes, and it's how to get an ex back. Now, this is so important, and I hope everybody really hears this, that you look at your relationship and really determine whether this person deserves to have you back in their life.
Mm-hmm.
Is this what you really want? Because I used this technique to get my ex-husband back. And when he came back, I was like, whoa, never mind. So what was I thinking? I mean, hopefully he's not listening to this, but yeah, so you really just want to make sure that that is for your highest and greatest good. And that involves, if you're going to do this technique, I advocate is essential to be working on yourself at the same time, whether they're working with you or they're working with somebody like me, however, or they're doing it on their own. Some type of technique to grow and evolve, not just staying stuck and thinking about this person 24/7, because that can be, that can be very depleting. And if you add this technique to it, it's just going to create more havoc. It will bring the person back temporarily, but they won't be happy because they're not going to understand why they're thinking about you so compulsively, and they're going to get mad at you because they're going to look at you like, this person hasn't changed at all. Nothing's changed here. What's going on? And honestly, I've seen actually that their immediate cue is like, what is this person doing? Is this person manipulating me somehow? And so on a subconscious level, they know what. But if you are doing growth work and you really feel like, man, I just need another opportunity here, I feel like this person just didn't get to understand who I really was, or maybe I messed up here, but I fixed that, then that person, when you do the technique and they start compulsively thinking about you, and they usually call or reach out within a couple of days, then they're like, oh my goodness, look, this is why I've been thinking about them, because they're the person I'm supposed to be with. I mean, look at how amazing they are. Look at how much they've grown, so.
I love that. And then for manifestation in general, what my experience has been is that it will boomerang back away if your intentions aren't pure, aren't good anyway, whether they're good intentions for yourself or the other. So then you have to be really feeling good and loving yourself before you're doing this, or else it could boomerang away. Or like you said, it just could end in chaos or negativity. But I think that's a good way to think about it if you want another experience so they can experience you differently. Or you just want to change the paradigm between you two.
Yeah. I mean, there's a myriad of things and reasons why, breakups happen that aren't necessarily reflective of or indicative of the relationship in general. But something, preempted that should make you sit back and, maybe look at yourself and how you could have been better in that situation, how you can grow. Even from the worst experience, it's always essential to look at it and break it down and go, okay, what can I learn from this? Even if the person's completely always wrong, you were always right, you can still learn from it, and grow from that. So
if you haven't done the self-work, pause this video or podcast, go talk to Kirsten when you're ready, or press play on this when you're ready. But I incredibly agree with you that you have to be doing the self-work, and you have to feel good about yourself before you start doing this stuff, or it could not be as effective, or it could be chaotic.
And people really, really need to understand that on a subconscious level, this person is going to understand something is going on outside of their control. And it's not manipulation. It is not manipulation. This is not spell work. This is not anything like that. This is just simply creating what's called a torsion field, which it's kind of a combination, my combination between a toric field and a torsion field, which toric field is your heart energy, the electromagnetic energy from your heart. And a torsion field is a rather new concept in quantum physics and psionics, actually, that basically creates this field around yourself that draws things in. And they've created these devices on a small scale. So I kind of was like, I wonder if this would work, because you can create a toric field with a fan just circling around and around and around. So I was like, I wonder if you put your intention into something, but okay, how would you do that? So what you do is you write the person's name, their full name, and their date of birth on a piece of paper, and you take some tape and you stick it to the, not the underside, because it'll likely blow off, and you want to stick it pretty good. And you stick it on there, and then you sit in meditation underneath, and you consciously think of this person, and you envision yourself surrounded by white light and beauty, and a moment between you guys that's, you know, a very sacred moment that's just love and all happiness. No neediness, no, just happiness and trust and beautiful love, just from your heart. And then you turn on the fan. And what this does is it creates this torsion field with your energy and your intent, and it sends it out into the quantum field. And this technique is extremely powerful. Within a couple of days, you will either hear from the person, they'll reach out, they'll call, something will happen to bring them around. Now, the stronger your meditation abilities are, the stronger this effect will be and the quicker it will happen. But I've never had a client say it's not work, period, at all for them. Sometimes it may take a little bit longer, but it's pretty quick from my experience. And yeah, so, but it very much works. And it, like I said, though, it can create unwanted results if you're not practicing this without doing the work yourself. So my suggestion to people is always, let's do a week of really hard work and meditation and understanding, and let's break this down. And I usually do a reading for them of, okay, I see insight into, okay, was there some abuse, emotional abuse here? What was this going on? And then we talk about it, and we kind of break it down, and then we go through the steps of, why does this person deserve you in their life? And if they can still at the end of that week say 100%, then hey, here you go, And when I teach my manifestation class in general, this is one of the things that I teach as well, because this can be used not just to bring an ex back or to bring someone you love back, but it can be used to bring in abundance and to bring in happiness. And the more unselfish you are, if this makes sense, with your request, like if this is for my highest and greatest good, well, it always, and it's very fast. Like you will bring in things that are just, beautiful experiences will be like that.
I like that so much. And thank you for framing it that way. It's like when I want something and it, you kind of see it superficial on the surface or whatever, or maybe typically it would just be about your needs, whatever it is. I have noticed that I try to pick out like what the greater meaning and purpose would be for that. Like even just touching someone's life or inspiring them in some way, or being around someone new, like it gives another perspective. And then that actually shifts, how they see themselves and then how they are treating the world. So like just one new person coming into someone's life can do that much impact. But I love the fact that you just add that meaning and purpose to it, and that makes it stronger. That's so interesting.
Well, the other reason that we can't bring things into our life, the main reason why people can't manifest things or bring them into life, is because of resonance. You're not resonating at the same frequency as what you're asking to be brought into your life. And you have to resonate within around the same frequency in order to bring that in. So when you're asking for higher level things without having higher level thought, this is why it's harder to bring those things into your life. But when you ask, you can ask your guides, bring me into resonance, bring me, when you're doing meditation, bring me into resonance. And they will work on your body to bring you into resonance with the thing you're asking for, as long as it's for your highest and greatest good. If it's not, then you usually figure it out within a week or two. With my guides, which guides are just your advisors, kind of, they are with you, some of them with your whole life, different ones come in for different periods of time, but they're not like a little person sitting on my shoulder. They're just they are literally just my spiritual guides. And I always ask them, okay, if I can't, if I'm not being able to manifest this, bring me into resonance with it. They say, you're out of resonance. Okay, bring me into resonance. And then if they can't, they said, oh, bring me into resonance. Okay, well, make me not want it anymore. Because I'm sort of very like cut and dry with it, because, okay, obviously it's not for my highest and greatest good, so I don't need to want it anymore.
Highest and greatest good, like so beautiful. And I imagine, like we said at the beginning, the mindfulness can bring you into that. So you are actually meditating on that feeling, is bring me into that higher resonance. So you're breathing, you're in that moment, and that is really the intention right there at some points.
This is a little more advanced meditation, but yes. I also use tuning forks with some of my clients and things like that. You can actually determine with tuning forks where there is lack of resonance and there's lack of coherence within the energetic body. I also do a technique I call scanning, where I can go and look at somebody's energy and I can see where there's imbalances. And often times it's where we're not treating ourselves as good as we should be in a certain health area, like if there's problems with the throat, maybe smoking or something like that, or you can see those things. It shows right up in the energetic body. So it's very, very interesting once you change those things. Or like I had a client recently who had heavy metal toxicity and was like completely frazzled, like, what is going on? I just feel like I feel horrible. And I did a scan and I was like, you have heavy metals and too much heavy metals in your body. And he bought the stuff off Amazon, Sheila Jat, and it gets rid of it pretty quickly. This is incredible. I feel like my old self again. This is something he had been suffering with for years. So, this is pretty real, concrete things. I mean, it's not always ABC, just like it's not with you, in your position. We can't always figure everything out every time, but it usually means we're not supposed to. It means they're supposed to.
That's so fascinating. Going back to like the Reiki work, the first time I was introduced to that was actually with clients in mental health that were dealing with dual diagnoses, substance use and primary mental health issues. And they were using Reiki because it was research based on people that were positive for HIV. So HIV patients that actually had dual diagnoses were being benefited, and the research showed it for Reiki. And that's why the clinicians were putting it in so quickly, because all the research was supporting it. So it's just incredible how much empirical research backs up your work and everything that you do.
And the reason it's so beneficial, and there's a number of different fields within cancer research and things like that, not to cure cancer per se, but to alleviate symptoms of pain and suffering, and fear-based type things that can also cause fear-based problems, can cause disease in the body as well. So that component is essential, but there've been studies to show that Reiki also helps with all of those things, and we're finding more and more applications for it today. So, yeah.
Incredible. Well, I could keep talking to you.
I know.
A wealth of information. I already knew this was going to be so
you.
deep and so positive and so impactful. And I'm so excited and grateful that you came on today. And I'm sure that some people were inspired. And I know you offer services. So what services do you offer in case somebody does want to go to you?
Sure. I offer many different types of Reiki treatment. Shungite, which I do some with shungite, which is a stone which has fullerenes in it, which is carbon C60 molecule. It's very powerful. Let's just say that, because it's a long sort of explanation to why, but very research based. Then I do normal Reiki. I do readings. I do psychic readings for people. I do what's called my 6-month prescription plan, and that's usually having them let go of old belief patterns. I have a system that I use called Clarity. With cards and things, but it's so powerful to release old thought patterns and to let them go. And then that sort of allows them to move into a different state to be able to work on the other things. And I do past life regressions. I'm certified in a hypnotherapist as well. So I do smoking cessation things. There's a lot of different kind of fields, and I've studied this for quite some time now. So yeah, but those are the services I offer, and you can find them all on my website, www.psychicbabes.com.
Psychicbabes.com. You have been incredible today. I'm so happy that you came.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.